A building boom across Texas, but not homes or offices. No, cities are racing to rebuild or build massive stadiums, convention centers, betting big on tourism, prestige, and economic development. I'm Charles Blaine, and this is Texas Tomorrow. Austin is in the midst of perhaps the boldest move, tearing down its 33-year-old convention center and rebuilding it in a 4-year project with a price tag of $1.6 billion. Now, demolition began this year, and the goal is to reopen ahead of the 2029 Spring Festival season. And they're going to add a lot of square footage because once completed, the new facility will have about 550,000 square feet of indoor space plus 70,000 square feet of outdoor space for programming and other needs. And city leaders estimate the upgraded project will add about $285 million in economic impact, generate $13 million more in tax revenue, and support over 1,600 new jobs. Now, these are city leaders who also voted to support this program and whose livelihoods and political futures depend on it. So take that with a grain of salt for what you will. The funding is supposed to come from hot taxes, which are hotel occupancy tax revenue and convention center earnings. Officials insist it won't hit the general fund, which is funded by your property taxes. But that said, critics are demanding more disclosure and even a public vote on diverting $1.6 billion from hot revenue. Dallas voters in 2022 approved a massive expansion and rebuild of the K. Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center under a plan now estimated at $3.7 billion, a steep increase from the $1.9 billion they earlier estimated. Now, the project aimed to expand the facility to 2 million square feet and integrate new entertainment, dining, and transit features downtown. And demolition is slated to begin soon. Funding will rely heavily on hotel occupancy taxes and revenue bonds tied to pledged hot tax income, without allegedly increasing property taxes. But concerns do linger. The upward spiral of the costs of this project, the long-term debt obligation, and the impact on downtown neighborhoods and infrastructure are all scrutinized. And also, Dallas is gearing up for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and the K. Bailey Hutchinson Convention Center will host the International Broadcast Center. And the city's already spent about $15 million in upgrades, or approved $15 million in upgrades for that role. And the trend doesn't stop there. It's in Rosenberg, where they spent $235 million on a hotel convention center, split between Fort Bend County and a private developer. San Antonio's looking at Project Marvel, a new Spurs arena, expansion of the convention center, upgrades to the Alamo Dome, somewhere between $700 million and $1 billion. And here in Houston, the NRG Center and Convention Complex are in need of serious upkeep. Some reports suggest the future repairs could cost upwards of $1.9 billion over the long term. And not to mention, we are talking about a redevelopment of the George R. Brown downtown. And these aren't small bets. Across Texas, cities are locking in decades of debt obligation, assuming growth in tourism and conventions will cover bond payments. But many independent economists warn that stadiums and convention centers seldom recoup their costs. And more importantly, the process often lacks transparency. Voters sometimes get to vote after the bond approvals, or not at all, and many decisions are driven by consultants, developers, political insiders who benefit from construction and real estate deals. So as these builds go forward, Texans should demand full public disclosure of cost projections, including worst-case scenario projections, because we've seen those can happen. Third-party audits and feasibility studies should be a requirement. Binding public referendum before major tax allocations. Guarantees that general funds for core services won't be raided if tourism revenue falls short. These are just a few safeguards that people should put in place to make sure that their property taxes and the assets that their property taxes have built across the city are protected in the event this new convention center boom goes boom. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Texas Tomorrow. Please like, share, comment, and let us know if there's something going on in your neighborhood that you'd like us to talk about.